Most people train less in winter. It's cold, it's dark, the motivation is low. The samurai trained harder in winter, deliberately, specifically. And what they built in winter lasted the entire year. Modern fitness culture optimizes for comfort, the best conditions, the right temperature, the right equipment, the right mood. The samurai had a name for training in the worst conditions. They called it Kangeiko, cold training, and they considered it the most valuable training of the year. Kangeiko traditionally ran for a period in the deepest part of winter, the coldest days, the earliest mornings. Students would rise before dawn, train in unheated dojos, sometimes in snow, not because the facilities weren't available, because the hardest conditions produced something that comfortable conditions could not. The discovery of what remains when every excuse to stop is valid. Here is what the samurai observed. When you train in optimal conditions, comfortable temperature, good energy, favorable circumstances, you learn what you can do when everything cooperates. When you train in the worst conditions, cold, dark, tired, unmotivated, you learn what you actually are. These are different pieces of information. The first tells you about your ceiling, the second tells you about your floor, and the samurai cared far more about the floor, because the floor is what remains when the conditions stop cooperating, which they always eventually do. Research from the University of Birmingham, cold weather exercise studies, found that people who trained in uncomfortable environmental conditions regularly showed significantly greater psychological resilience to exercise discomfort, not just in cold conditions, but across all conditions. Training in bad conditions builds a general capacity for continuing despite discomfort. The samurai called this fudoshin in the body, the physical equivalent of the immovable mind. Rule 1. Train when you least want to. Once per week minimum. Train when the conditions are bad. Rain, cold, tired, busy, not every session, but one session per week deliberately chosen from the moments where stopping would be justified. Rule 2. Remove one layer of comfort. If you normally train in a heated gym, occasionally train outside. If you normally train with music, occasionally train in silence. If you normally train at your optimal time, occasionally train when it's inconvenient. Not to make training miserable, to prevent the training from becoming dependent on conditions. Rule 3. The Kangeiko mindset. Before any training session where the conditions are bad, state one sentence. The conditions are not what I would choose. I train anyway. That sentence, said aloud, is the practice of Kangeiko, the acknowledgement that conditions are bad, the choice to continue. Modern fitness tells you to optimize conditions. The samurai optimized character by training in spite of conditions. The body gets the same workout. What changes is what the training builds in the person doing it. A body trained only in comfort will perform only in comfort. A body trained through difficulty knows something that no comfortable training can teach, that it can continue when everything says it should stop. This week, 1 Kangeiko session. Train when you don't want to. In conditions you wouldn't choose. Don't make it dramatic. Just do it. Drop the comment. What were your conditions? Next video. The samurai fasted before battle, not for health reasons. What they actually understood about hunger. Subscribe. Bell on.